So why do we collect bourbon? This is Fireside Fridays, and we're the New to Bourbon guys. I'm David. I'm here with my buddy Bill and Jennings, and we're going to talk about why we collect bourbon. Tell me about your collection and why do you collect bourbon?
Yeah, so I think we've talked about it before. You know, Jennings helped us all get into collecting bourbon, and there are a lot of folks out there that are big collectors. I've run into a lot of folks that collect, and you know, I've found that it's different for everybody, and that's why I think this is a on-point kind of conversation tonight, because everybody does it differently. For me, it's about the hunt. You know, I'm in sales, and for me, the hunt in sales is the thing that I love so much.
Sure.
And so collecting bourbon kind of fits in line with what I do from my work standpoint. I enjoy going out and being able to honestly pick up the phone and call Jennings and call you and say, hey guys, guess what I got? You know, and find something special. So my collection is, I've been collecting bourbon for a little over 2 years. I'm about 150 bottles right now. I've been very fortunate to pick up some pretty good stuff. This year has been a really good year, I think. Last year was a good year.
Yep.
This year I picked up a George T. Stagg from 2019.
Nice.
I picked up a couple, what I call dusties, what I consider to be a dusty bottle. I picked up a WLW from 2015. I picked up 2 Van Winkle Family Reserve Ryes from 2014. So I call those kind of dusties. Picked up a Jack Daniel's Coy Hill, which was a good score.
It was good.
Picked up a Midwinter Night's Dram that you scored for me. Picked up a Jack Daniel's Sinatra. It's readily available, I think, at this time of year. But and it's obviously it's not a bourbon, but it's one of those that it's a good talking point around why Jack Daniel's made that special bottle for Frank Sinatra. But I picked up some other ones. I mean, I've gotten a Elijah Craig 18 and some others. So, you know, that's the thing for me. It's the hunt.
The thrill of the hunt.
It's the thrill of the hunt.
Nice.
Yeah, I have my daily drinkers. We talked about that.
Sure.
But I don't open everything I have. Jennings, on the other hand, I know is a little bit different. You open everything you do.
I open almost everything I get. You know, for me, it's different. I like to collect these bottles, and I like to get them because I like to go to events at people's house and open these bottles that are really hard for folks to find. I like to open them so they can try them. It's just a little different way of collecting from how Bill does his, which is fine. But I love to go to an event and take a bottle of this or a bottle of that. And it's fun for me. And I enjoy, you know, sharing it with like my father-in-law. And we talked previously about how he got me into it. And so it's nice for me to be able to go and take those bottles to him and my brother-in-law on Christmas and Thanksgiving and open those bottles and sit around and just talk nonsense while we sip bourbon. I mean, that for me, that's what it's all about. That's why I collect it. That's 100% the reason I do it. Now, I do enjoy the thrill of the hunt.
Yep.
It's definitely a thrill. It's gotten a lot harder to just find stuff, though.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I first started, which was a little bit longer ago than you guys, you could go in at the right time and find something, and it would be retail or really close to it.
Yeah, and I've told you about my friend that lives not far away from us here. I mean, he's been collecting for years. I mean, probably 3 times as long as you have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that he was collecting back in the day when you could walk into a store and buy a case of Pappy off the shelf and just buy whatever he wanted. And I mean, I think he's over 3,000 bottles. I mean, that's a big collection.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of bourbon. And I asked him one time about, you know, what do you, we were standing around hanging out someplace talking and probably at the liquor store and stuff. And I said, you know, I have daily drinkers. I have things that I buy that are my daily drinkers. And I kind of jokingly looked at him and said, you don't do that, do you? And his comment was, no, I really don't. He goes, I have so many bottles that are open that I've had for a long time. I just go pick something that I want to drink. So for him, if he wants to drink a Pappy 15 today or a Pappy 23 or whatever it is that he has, he'll just go have what he enjoys.
Yep.
But when you've got that much bourbon, it's very easy to do that. If you're somebody that's just starting out in bourbon and you're fortunate to have gotten your first, antique 107, you know, you may open that, you may not. You know, it's your first one. You might want to save it and say, hey, I want to wait till I get a second one. You know, you and I've talked about it in day 2.
That's your thing, and then you get 2 bottles.
You want to
right?
have 2 bottles of everything. So I try and collect
At least, yeah.
at least 2 bottles of everything. I try and do that for, you know, there's some stuff that's allocated, but it's also on the, it may or may not be on the shelf.
Sure.
For example, I mean, I've got, you know, Calumet 14, Calumet 15, Calumet 16, Sam Houston 14, Sam Houston 15. Those are all great bourbons that, you know, I've been able to acquire a couple bottles of each. So I can open one of those and share it and do. So Dave, how about you?
I am probably the odd man out here. I probably have the smallest collection. I've got kind of that 30 bottle collection, but I open and drink just about everything I buy.
Can't catch up, huh?
Well, you know, it's just for me the experience of bourbon, and we're doing this right here. You know, we're sitting by the fire. The experience of bourbon is for me less about the hunt and more about the enjoyment. I think I love the idea of sitting by the fire with some good friends and telling stories and having a great time. So for me, it really is not so much about the hunt, although, you know, when I do, you know, every now and then I stumble across those bottles and I snatch them up, but it really is more about just kind of the enjoyment, the social enjoyment, as well as just the you know, the sensory enjoyment as well. I love the smell of a fire, the smell of the bourbon in my glass, and the taste, and it just really is a lot of fun. And I think, you know, we always talk about, you know, drink the way you like it, enjoy it, and share it. And I think that fits right within that sort of mission statement. And I think it's it's very enjoyable for me.
Yeah, that's the fun of it. I mean, how many times have we've been standing in line at here at Christmas time? We've been standing in line someplace and
trying to get something cool.
We see people that we saw at a different location or something like that, and we start talking, and, you know, everybody knows what their spot in line is. You know, nobody's going to kind of cheat and try and take your place, but we're all just hanging out, and we're, you know, seeing who gets there the earliest. I mean, there was a guy not long ago, we were talking about, he got there at like 5 o'clock or 5:30. The place didn't open until 10.
20 degrees.
It was 20 degrees. It was freezing. But, you know, it's the fun of it. It's the hunt. It's being there first. It's getting that first pick and you know, coming out of the store and going, look what I got, kind of thing. It's the fun of it, and being able to make friends and meet people and talk about their bourbon collections and how they started, and having their wives show up so they can get that second bottle, or having the wives show up and the husband show up so the husband can get the wife the second bottle because she's the collector and not him.
You know, and when I first started this and I was getting bottles of this and bottles of that, I would put them up and I would leave them up there, and they would sit in a cabinet, right? And we'd open other bottles when people come over. And I think it was 2016, I went with my parents and my wife and family up to Kentucky, and we did a tour at Buffalo Trace. And our tour guide that day didn't show up. And so this really nice guy that nobody knew in our group came up and said, I'm going to do your tour for you. So he walked us around and took us in some buildings and was just very animated and was just very genuine. And it was nice. It was not your normal tour guide where they're like, here's this, here's that. It was really neat. And we get towards the end of the tour, and he takes us in the Blanton's room. And we're in this room, and, you know, I've got my whole family, and my daughter's in there, and she's like, what are you dragging me along on this? He was looking at my daughter and another little girl. There were only 2 kids in the group. And he goes over there, the tour guide does, he goes over there and he gets these 2 Blanton's toppers, right? And for those of you guys that are in bourbon a little bit more, it was a Blanton's Gold topper, which is a gold-colored Blanton's horse topper.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so he goes and gets it, and he brings it over there, and he hands it to each one of those girls, my daughter being one of them. And you could just see her face instantly change from like, oh, this is kind of boring, to, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, I got this neat thing, and everybody's like oohing and ahhing about it. Well, we leave there, and we go in there, and there's 3 different groups doing a tour. And our group is over there, and this guy starts telling these stories and telling us about bourbon and how he got into it. Well, come to find out, this guy's name is Freddie Johnson, and he's a 3rd generation Buffalo Trace employee. And we're doing this tasting, and he's telling us all this stuff. And he starts to tell me and my dad this story about bourbon and how he said, you know, I had this guy that was in here, and you can listen to the video, but he basically says that there was this guy in here, and he said, oh, I got 5 of those, and I got 10 of those, and I got 15 of those, and all this. And Freddie looks at him and he says, but how many of those bottles do you have open? And the guy kind of pauses and looks at him funny. And so Freddie goes on to say, he says, bourbon is meant to be shared. It's meant to be popped open with friends and sit around and enjoy that time together. That's what it's for. That's what bourbon is for. It's not meant to sit on a shelf and look pretty and collect dust and collect you money. It's there to have fun with your friends and your relatives, and that's what it's all about. And, you know, after hearing that, I'm like, man, it really changed how I collected. I could truly collected it so I could go and open them with other people and have fun and maybe take a bottle that they've been wanting but they just can't get, right? It's rewarding to be able to take those bottles and have fun with these people because they haven't seen it, or they've wanted it, or they've seen it at a bar, or they've seen it at a friend's house, but that friend won't open it. Well, I'll open it. Let's open it. Let's drink it. Let's have some fun. Sit around, tell some stories for a couple hours. So that for me is what it's all about. That's why I collect.
Collecting is different for each one of us. It can be different for you. There's no right or wrong to this. There's no right or wrong. Each one of us has to make the decision how we want to enjoy the bourbon and the hunt and how we do it. So, you know, continue to go out and hunt for bourbon. Continue to find your daily drinkers that you like. Continue to share with your friends. Hang out by the fire. Enjoy the time. You know, life is short. So find the people that you enjoy being with. Find the folks that you enjoy sharing bourbon with and sharing stories with, and take the time to enjoy all of it. We're the New to Bourbon guys. This is Fireside Fridays. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video, and come back and see us again. Don't forget, the reason we drink bourbon, it's delicious. All right, we ready to roll? Who's doing the intro?
I'll do it. What am I saying?
Stop. It's Fireside Friday.
Fireside Friday. I knew I forgot something.
How low can you go?
Is this getting really dark?
That camera's really fancy. You can do all kinds of crap with it.
What kind of shoes are you wearing?
Merrells. These are crazy comfortable.
They are fugly.